Welcome to In Search of Catholic School Excellence, the show where we spotlight the programs, people, and practices making a real difference in Catholic education today. If you're a school leader striving to build a community of faith, excellence, and innovation, you've come to the right place. Each episode brings you ideas that are working, stories that inspire, and new possibilities for your school's mission. Let's explore what's working and what's possible. Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode. This week, I'm joined by my favorite podcast co-host, Becky Wong. Becky, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for inviting me again.
So this week, we're talking about community engagement. And this, I know we had talked in the past about parent engagement and how we want to make sure that they're a part of the fabric of the school and make sure they feel like they're home there as well, but we can't ignore the folks who are just outside our door. And so that's what this episode is going to be all about, community engagement. If you think about who's in your neighborhood, and you can take your zip code, especially if you don't have a huge zip code, it becomes a little bit easier. Think, how many businesses do you know? How many people live in your neighborhood that actually go to your school? Where do the kids in your neighborhood actually go to school instead, if they're not coming to your place? And so the more we get to know our community, the more that we have a presence in the community, I think it's a lot easier to promote our school and to control the story that gets told about our school, right? So that's what today's episode is all about. And I want to tell a quick little story about one of our schools that started out with this. So you think about how you're thinking about how you want to run your, say, your lunch program, right? Or something like that. We had a school who was reconsidering how their lunch program was going to go. And this was before the days where a truck would show up and deliver you lunches, right? So this is a while back. But trying to figure out how to make that happen, it always had somebody in the neighborhood a parent who would come and cook lunches. But at some point, that person, timed out, retired. It was time to move on. And it just so happened that they had a relationship with a family who lived in the neighborhood. The kids did not go to the school, but they were part of the parish. In any case, this vendor down the street was able to provide lunches for the school at a reduced rate. And they were able to pull together 5 days a week of lunches. That was an easy menu. It was like, at that point, it was like $5 a lunch or something like that. It was just, the school could make a little bit of money, the place made a little bit of money, and the food was always delivered because it was so close. So it's just a win-win. And I bet you anytime somebody walked in that restaurant, they were talking positively about the school because it was a very unique situation, but it made all the difference for each other, right? Helping the school out with the business, with the lunch program, and the business out with some more business that they probably wouldn't have made at lunchtime. So these little things are an example. And I know that we're hearkening back to an old time where all the kids lived in the neighborhood. You knew everybody at every store, but it doesn't mean that's a lost art. And we can talk about that today, about how do we get back to that place where the neighborhood, like Mr. Rogers says, who are the people in your neighborhood? You should know the people in your neighborhood. So that's what we're all talking about today. So, Becky, my first question to you is, in your various school experiences, did your school have a concerted effort to get outside?
Well, when I was teaching, we were in Chinatown. So, like you said, a local business, it's usually a parent would provide lunches at like a discounted rate. And they were so reliable. But those families with their children, they graduate, sometimes their businesses close or whatnot, circumstances change. So there's always someone out there to help. And it's a school based out of Chinatown was like so convenient. There's like a million business that's there. We even had a old folks home or senior center nearby, so we'd go there and sing Christmas songs to them. So
Wow, I
there
love
was
that.
definitely a relationship. But when I moved to my second school, we were considered a commuter school. There wasn't a lot around. It was mostly parents just did drop off. There's not a lot of businesses
Mm.
within eyeshot. But then there's some housing development and then more businesses grew. And I almost feel that was like one of our weak points of our school where we didn't go beyond our few blocks to look. We did develop a relationship with the schools because there are, I believe, three other schools within the same block of our school and our location. And across the street is the senior center. And we did build relationships with those people. And it did work out in good and bad ways. One thing happened where when I first started as the tech coordinator there, we only had DSL. So when we contacted Comcast, the build out was like $30,000 just to get internet. It's like such a basic necessity, but it was like $30,000. Who has $30,000? So we reached out to the other schools and they're like, we're not interested. And this was like back in like 2011. DSL was fine back then, but no one predicted COVID. No one predicted everything else in the world. So luckily we were able to negotiate the build out price down. But later on, a few years later, those schools reached out to us like, hey, how did you get Comcast? And we're like, oh yeah, the build out. So had we partnered with those schools and even the senior center, the build out would have been a lot cheaper for all of us since we're just down the block. And so definitely reaching out to the community has many benefits. It's not just to get donors or whatnot. It's for logistics and just basic necessities like internet. Having the power of a group makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, I think it's especially in those situations where you could have made that relationship could have made things so much easier for everybody. It'd be a
Right.
win-win situation. I've seen that with the parishes. There's in the parishes, they'll often have a group of all of the different denominations in the
Hmm.
neighborhood will have a get together. So you've got the Baptists and the maybe the Buddhists or the,
Hmm.
whatever it might be. Like all of those folks are actually getting together and talking about, I guess maybe not Buddhists. It's probably all Christians, Christian
Yes.
denominations. But in any case, they're getting
Hmm.
together to talk about what's going on in their churches, their
Hmm.
various denomination churches. And I think that's great. That's a great thing to be able to talk to people who have a different faith or a different mission than you
Hmm.
might have, but you have similar problems. And so that's one way of creating a board, the way
Hmm.
that you could have done with the other schools and be like, hey, we have a security issue on this area. There's a traffic issue on this area,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Where you could build a team of some sort to be able to at least talk through those problems together so it doesn't become a bunch of fiefdoms trying to all solve the same problem and wasting tons of energy and money.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. It was, speaking of partnering with the schools and just talking about just, and sometimes it even leads to politics and whatnot. A few years back, we partnered with the school and we had a peace march. It was great to see the kids from the neighboring school come out with our kids. And we just met across the street where the statue was. And we gave the students a voice and that they don't feel alone. They're not isolated. They're with other kids of the same age. And they were better just talk about things that were happening around the world it was bothering them.
yeah. And that's huge. I mean, just to give the kids another lens for what's happening. Like
Hmm.
we're in our own little place, but there's kids down the street who could otherwise be me, right?
Right.
And so they that being able to share and get to know each other, I think that's a wonderful thing too. So it's to circle back here, it's not just about when we're doing any of these things, the community
Hmm.
engagement, the parent engagement, it's not just about what can I get out of it, right?
Right.
But it's also about building a more solid foundation that will, of course, benefit your school. And the results of that can be things that we can't even imagine yet. But it's the right thing to do. I think if that seems like it's crazy, I can think back to our schools in North Beach, my old school, partnering with the other schools, that there would have been a conversation for that. But at some
Hmm.
point, you get outside of like, what can we really do? We're the one Catholic school, there's a bunch of public schools, different
Hmm.
varieties. How much more can we collaborate? Well, just having a good relationship to talk about, hey, what's going on or what did you see, especially in this, like, I think on the security level, I think it's huge. But
Oh
that
yeah, for sure.
you can talk about things that are troubling you. And if somebody's still not convinced,
Hmm.
listening to this, from a marketing standpoint, how people talk about your school, I think is a big thing. And you want to control that as much as you can. You can't necessarily block every possible negative comment that can possibly come through,
Hmm.
but you can be in charge of how that story gets told, especially if you're talking about it. And I think if you're talking to the people in the neighborhood and you're making a great impression, your kids are participating in the parades, the neighborhood
Oh, right.
functions, you got a table at the neighborhood booth, you're going to the preschool things in the neighborhood, like you're just showing up and being a positive person,
Hmm.
like that bodes well because you're just building a good thing. Sitting in a coffee shop, someone says, I want to come to the school. What are they going to say? Or I'm looking for a school.
Right.
What are the best schools in this neighborhood even, right? And that one little neighborhood, there's probably they have five choices within walking distance. And why would you choose one or the other? And
Oh,
hopefully
right.
somebody in that coffee shop says, "Hey, we had a great experience," or "My kid's there now. We love it. You should really come check it out. At least come see if you like it."
Oh,
Right?
right.
As opposed to, "Oh, I don't know anything about that school." Right? Or the corner store. I can remember growing up, the guy at the corner store was like a mentor to me, but like he
Hmm.
had all the neighborhood news.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you asked him, which school should you go to? He would say, come to my school. What happened when
Mhm.
he finally had kids?
Oh, right.
He sent them to the
Go for
school.
there.
So it's it's important how that message gets out there. And I think that's kind of where we're going with all this. It's good to build up relationships, but it's it's an opportunity that you can control.
Oh, for sure. And the biggest endorsement or the strongest enrollment strategy is always word of mouth. And it only goes so far in your parent community. They're friends of friends, and eventually people, their kids age out of elementary school. And you don't want that relationship to die. So who's going to be there for you? It's the community shops, the businesses around you. They usually stick around and they know you. And I almost feel like they know the real
Yeah.
you or the real kids where they can tell you, oh, hey, oh, yeah, those kids come around my shop all the time. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that in the old neighborhood, if we would have gone out of the fence and gone off to get food or something somewhere, or we got into trouble somewhere, there
Right.
were enough people who knew who we were, whether they were the parents of other kids or if they were just community members who are attached to the parish. They would call the school, rat us out. So that's
That's the
once again,
best.
we yeah, you don't necessarily want to think about your kids causing trouble, but
Right.
how nice is it to think that they say it takes a village to raise a kid?
Right.
Well, what we got a village,
Someone's
right?
watching your kids, right?
Yeah,
They're 5 minutes late, but where were they?
yeah,
Picking up coffee at the coffee shop.
right. Yeah, and that's I mean, for all these little things, it doesn't have to be a major investment. I mean, obviously it takes time, but
Hmm.
even I went and met with the principal. We chose one of the coffee shops in the neighborhood, and we would go and we could
Hmm.
have our conversation about what we wanted to do outside of the school building, so we could have a little bit more friendly conversation. You choosing to have your meetings there, or choosing to get your
Oh,
catering
yeah.
there, choosing to invite, like having a food fair, right?
Hmm.
Like you could definitely make some friends there. But you have your big festival, like inviting the restaurants to be a part of it. It's all a way of making good relationships, and those things can come back.
Hmm.
I
I
think,
just, oh,
oh, sorry, go
sorry.
ahead. Go.
I just noticed something this week, and I always feel like we mentioned food in all our podcasts. I was just in the
We love
office.
food.
I know. I was just in the office, just doing my usual tech support stuff, fixing a Chromebook, and I noticed a kid came in and said, "Oh no, I forgot my lunch." So the office calls the cafe down the street. 15 minutes later, someone from the coffee shop shows up with a lunch. It's so nice. Back in my day, we'll tell the kids like, "Oh, do you have any snacks?" Or everyone will pull together their whatever their extras. Oh, here's an apple, here's some goldfish. But having that was so it's so reassuring as a parent where you're like, "Oh no, I thought they had ordered a school lunch, but they didn't."
Kid is
It's
still taken care of.
this kid is still taken care of. The office staff was like asking the kid to go, "Oh, will you eat this? Are you allergic to anything?" So that was like the nicest thing seen. I was
Well,
like,
think about how many things had to go right for that to happen. One,
hmm
obviously the kid comes out in the office, right? So there's like
you're right.
the teacher knows that we can solve this problem. So that's
Hmm
huge. Two, the office doesn't lay into the kid.
Right,
Office maybe gave him a little stern, like, hey, you forgot something, or like, it's understandable, but we're going to solve this for you, right?
right,
They have a relationship with the coffee shop on the corner
right,
to be able to call in with a like a account on credit or however they need to do it to get the lunch. The coffee shop was willing to take that order and deliver. This wasn't like a DoorDash situation.
right. It was just one lunch. They had already dropped off all the other lunches too. And the office staff called the parent and just got permission because they'll get charged for it. But I was like, it was such a smooth transition and the kid was taken care of. She looked a little sad or worried at first,
Oh, of
but it
course.
was like from a parent perspective to know that my child's school will take care of my kid when I forgotten something or I was running late or whatever happened, that you can't buy that.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, there's so many good things about that. I mean, that's the kind of place that you'd want to work, right? Like,
hmm
if not that you're going to tell that story. I mean, you happen
Right.
to witness it, right? But
Right.
like as a principal, you're not going to tell that story to your families because that might just be a little bit extra and also might be
Yeah.
embarrassing or whatever. But like
Oh, right.
that's such a family situation where like
hmm
you go to a friend's house when you're a kid and like
hmm
grandma's in the kitchen, she's like, "Let me make you something, honey." You have that kind of feeling at your school. That's the kind of place you want to work. That's the kind of
hmm
place you want to grow up. That's the kind of place you want to continue to be a part of, even after your kids are gone. That's a huge win for that school. We won't name names.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. But that's the kind
Oh.
of relationship you can build. I mean, I would think that for me, like somebody who's constantly on the run, if I was a principal and I had totally
Mhm.
forgotten, yeah, can I just call you every now and then and I'll place an order and you just charge us for it? Can we just set this
Right.
relationship up? Because there's going to be a moment where we're going to need that. And,
Oh, absolutely.
or even just saying for somebody who I love to eat out, like we always talk about food. So if I was in one place every day, obviously if the your cafeteria food or whatever's coming for lunch is good enough, that's great. No problem there. But in the situation where you've got like the opportunity to take like just a little break
hmm
and have food, to have five places in your neighborhood that you feel comfortable to go and sit and eat and just detach for a few minutes, or that you can call and be able to get that order. And so it's a personal thing rather than a DoorDash thing where you're like, you get an
Oh,
order
right.
from anywhere, right? It doesn't really matter. So, that's such a great story. I love that.
So, what do our listeners do if they don't have like local businesses or a nice deli nearby?
Well, let's start with the default. And I know that we
Huh?
talked about this before in our parent engagement episode. You should check that out, folks, if you haven't listened to that.
hmm
Basic level, you should acknowledge, collect the information from your parents. What do they do?
hmm
And you should acknowledge them for those things. If you can use them in different ways without necessarily always asking for 100%, you know,
Right.
donation, get discounts here and there. You'd be paying for
hmm
some of these things anyway.
hmm
Treating the faculty. We've talked about faculty meetings,
hmm
or we've talked about parent meetings, making sure the faculty is fed. Like you can
Right.
share the wealth among parents organizations, but you should find that information out. You should share that with the community. I know that Sarah High School does a very good job of this. At the end of all their newsletters, they have
hmm
a link to a page that says, please support our parent businesses.
Oh,
And like
nice.
there's a link to like all the parent businesses. Now, obviously, there's some sort of promotional deal in there. They've made a little bit of money off of that deal, but like
Hmm.
still very cool that like, every email, like the newsletter every week, that is included. And so I think that's a really cool way for one, for the business to support the parent to support the school, but also the school to support the business. So the parent. So that's basic level. You should know your parent stuff. You should use your parent stuff as much as you can.
Hmm.
But here's the plan. So
Yes.
I always talk about it with the zip code, and you have to kind of be careful with the zip code because the zip code could be huge. The San Francisco zip code is a small area, and
Hmm.
still a lot of businesses in those zip codes. But like, zip code, like in Michigan, is going to be enormous.
Yes.
There still might not be as many businesses as there would be in San Francisco. But whether you're doing this by zip code or natural boundaries of neighborhood, I think it's very important. Whatever the walking distance is, and you can make this small if you want, but
Hmm.
right off the bat, figure out, get a list. And this is something you can pull very easily. The internet's going to help you out, especially with AI, can definitely
Hmm.
pull this for you. But a list of all of the businesses in the zip code. And you go through and cross off any that you already know about or that you already have a relationship with. I shouldn't say know about because you probably know about a lot of them. But any
Hmm.
of the ones you already have a relationship with because you've already done that work. But
Right.
maybe you start off with a thank you to them. Just send them a
Yes.
nice little postcard. Hey, we really appreciate that we're associated with each other. We love what you
Hmm.
do. We appreciate all the support you've given us. Thank you.
Right.
That's something you do once a year, twice a year, maybe. Like
Hmm.
that's a huge deal. And definitely go visit those folks because those are going to be the easiest ones to do. But the next level, and we've talked about this in recruitment, how many preschools? How many
Oh, for
like
sure.
how many shady preschools, quiet on the under preschools do you have in your neighborhood? And are you friends with them? Are they
Hmm.
bringing kids to you for your pre-K classes, etc.? So I would put that at and give that group to my marketing folks, but I would also maybe set up an event where we invite all those folks to come learn about it first and
Hmm.
then have like a parent fair for them. So that's part of a different episode, but like that's a
Right.
big chunk of people that you want to pull out. Then I would start, you can kind of do, if you looked at a map, you can kind of do concentric circles and just figure out
Hmm.
within the block, within 2 blocks, within 3 blocks, right? And I'm thinking about one of your schools, which would have been much further away from civilization, let's say. There's not a whole lot of businesses right on your block, right? You
Right.
definitely have to work a little bit at this. And maybe that's a little bit more random. So maybe you start off with, okay, let me look at some of the restaurants, especially if our parent group is more of one, the restaurants are more of one kind of cuisine. Maybe I'm going to
Hmm.
go find a different kind of cuisine, right? In North Beach, where most of my examples come from, Italian food is everywhere, right? So you could get Italian food donated, but that may not be a special thing in that neighborhood because there's 1,000 Italian restaurants. What might be kind of fun is to do it something different, something from a different neighborhood. In all these recent years, tacos are all the latest rage. Well, what if you could do, oh man, now we're getting on events, but you could have tacos from around the world, right? The idea of like a little
Right.
small hand food, right? Anyway,
Or a
I
food
digress.
festival.
Yeah,
The funny thing is that I felt like my school was in the middle of nowhere. Just people just dropped off. It's just a lot of cars. But if we really look, it was right next to San Francisco State and right next to Stonestown, which is a shopping mall. There are like
right.
dentists, doctor's office. It's like,
You go up to Mission where there's a billion other things, or
right. And
behind
I
you
was
there's
like,
another shopping center.
I'm like, wait a second.
There's a
There are
lot.
plenty of businesses around us, but we didn't look outside of our 2 block radius. So it's just more of, hey, let's just take the first step and look what's around us. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
So simple, right? But
right.
then you can kind of break this down further. So obviously you get all the restaurants. And now
Hmm.
I would say with any of the restaurants, think about what can you create an event for them or just a
Hmm.
natural thing. Can we use them for catering for different events and
Oh,
slowly
for
make those
sure.
relationships? I would definitely go and visit them
Hmm.
and face to face because if they can associate you with the face, with your school. That's also
Right.
helpful. But they should probably recognize the uniform. And so they've got some sort of relationship. So get that in person, and then that's a roster of places. But then you start
Hmm.
looking at, well, who are the dentists, right?
Right.
Should we have, I know we do a guy from my class
Right.
still goes back to our school
Hmm.
and he does the eye checks for kids to
Oh,
make sure that
yeah.
their vision's all good. And there's no hard upsell. He's not trying to sell anything, but he's like,
No.
you're good. They do the same thing. They do the same thing with lice with the little ones. And like, there's lots of services that you can pull from those people. You can pull
Hmm.
them for career fairs. You can pull them for other events where you might want to have a specialist. Also, my favorite part of this is you find out these businesses that are in your neighborhood that are kind of like unique and interesting, right?
Oh, like what?
And so, like for example, and I'm hopefully somebody out there doesn't know this company because I'm guessing what they do, but in one of our locations, there is a rent a parent,
Oh, I've never heard of that.
right? And it's like I think the idea is it's partnering grandparents with
Oh,
younger
okay.
people for various
Uh-huh.
things, right? And so
Oh,
it's like
right.
it gives the older person a chance to do something that they love with somebody who's young, but it facilitates that thing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Perhaps it's an acting class. I don't know.
I don't know. Is it
No,
like
but
it's
like
similar like a big brother and sister sort of thing, but for
exactly.
grown-ups?
So I think that was their version of it. But that would be something interesting because for career day, or you find out about the military organization, like
Right.
the Veterans Foundation in your neighborhood, you find out there's all these very cool historical deals like in Japantown in San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
For another school that we have that's pretty close to there. There's a lot of really cool folks that are doing things.
Hmm.
And I love the idea of the service. You went to the old folks home, right? That's something that
Hmm.
in North Beach we were able to do too. Walk up and do that. Perhaps there's a gardening group, whatever. You find out these things
Oh,
and you can
right.
just integrate more and more in your school. I just heard from one of our principals yesterday
Hmm.
about how they were going to get a like a miniature greenhouse donated to the school
Oh,
by another organization. But like, how are you going to run that? Are you just going to throw they've
right.
built a relationship, and so now
Uh-huh.
that's going to be part of the program. You can enhance your program.
Oh, that's so cool. You know how we always talk about STEM and like there's only so much you can do, but to have a greenhouse, that is fantastic.
Yeah,
Something students never get a chance to go out and see nature. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Especially so, and then once as we go further,
Hmm.
you then like which alumni are still in your neighborhood?
Hmm.
Are you promoting them as part of our alumni talk? You can go download that
Oh,
episode too,
right.
right? Like, are you making those kind of connections? Are you helping your kids when they go off to high school? Are you still a part of their lives, their
Hmm.
alumni? You can help them with internships because you're like, hey, guess what? You wanted to get into whatever. I mean, our in North Beach, once again, the old style would have been you would have had the old guys giving the young folks jobs,
Hmm.
right? Because they're like, I'm just going to call down to the school or the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm going to find out about some kid who might work out for the situation because we're looking to hire. The fact that there's that relationship, in that case, it was an alum, but why
Hmm.
not have that relationship forever? I'm just going to call down to this place. Do you know any kids of high school age now? Obviously, out of
Hmm.
your school, but a high school age that could come and work. We're looking for people. We want good people. That's why we call you. That's the kind of thing that you want to foster. It takes time, but it's such a great
Oh, right.
opportunity.
Yeah, we had a similar situation where one of our parents, current parents, they're a defense attorney. So they came in and did some after school classes for kids. So they taught the kids about law. And one of my friends whose son goes to the school, when he went to high school, they still had a relationship together from the class where like, oh, hey. I'm interested in going into law, and he got an internship for a couple of summers. So that was fantastic. He's ready to go off to college now and is trying to decide, like, oh, what's a good path, and got advice on like what are good schools to go to just to move in that direction and understanding like what are the different areas of law that he could get into. So yeah, there's plenty of internship connections. And so it's not always about donating to the school. It could be
Right.
time and resources and having those connections.
I just love like this what you're just talking about in terms of like the lawyer. You know,
Hmm.
that can be a career connection for somebody, but like that's also another way to engage your parents.
Oh, right.
What if you could offer financial literacy? What if you could offer a night where you have some lawyers pro bono
Hmm.
so they can just come down and like you could offer these services discreetly if it needs to be a hush hush
Oh,
thing.
right.
But like financial literacy, would you want to just would you be willing to meet somebody? And that I'm pretty sure you could get any financial person, any lawyer to give
Oh,
that initial call because maybe they can help them and that helps them with their business. But like you're providing that service for parents
oh,
without
right.
necessarily getting involved in yourself and their like personal problems. But like that's just making connections for people. I think is huge. In the old days, we'd have the business cards or we'd have the Rolodex with all these people in it. Like
Yes.
because the internet's so huge and we've got Yelp and all these other things, like that
Hmm.
Rolodex is almost too big now. So
Right.
let's shrink that down to
Absolutely.
our neighborhood as a starting place, our parents, our neighborhood, and
Hmm.
like build from there. And then you can figure things out. But I'll tell you this much too.
Hmm.
The other reason why you might get to know these folks is when you're looking for a plumber.
Oh, right. Nutrition, right?
Yeah,
Something.
you might be able to find those folks in your neighborhood, but I guarantee you the restaurants, they
Hmm.
have all had some plumbing problems.
Oh,
And they have
absolutely.
all done it cheaply. So,
Or reasonably priced, or
yeah,
at least
exactly.
it's someone you could trust to keep calling back because our schools are in old buildings,
Yeah.
right? Things fall apart, the electricity, electrical panel blow up, or hopefully they don't blow up, but things things happen.
Yeah.
Sparks happen.
Well, I mean, that's information. Once you're on a level of trust, you're sharing all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff, and that's really huge. I think it's wonderful when you can make those relationships. 'Cause as I said before, I think the story that people tell you about your school is something that you can control at least some of the time, if not all the time. And by you being out in the community and getting to know folks, there's so much there. So I think you had talked earlier about some field trip opportunities in there, being able to use folks for prizes.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Prizes. I had one school, they just had their walkathon. And instead of giving them the knickknacks that break from wherever, the principal contacted the local coffee shop and said, "Oh, hey, do you have gift cards? Because we'd like to buy $5 gift cards from you." And it's not asking for a donation, but just to get the kids out to the community. And the coffee shop didn't go up to the school, but she just knows of the local coffee shop and she wants to spread the good word about the community. And
yeah,
that's the prize. If the kids raise so much money, they get the $5 gift card. And then they'll go to that coffee shop, learn how to buy things, get change. It was such a great conversation when I learned more about it. I was like, oh, that is fantastic. We don't need another fidget whatever that breaks in 2 seconds.
right,
Right.
right. Well, I think there's an opportunity too. Like you just mentioned another one is
Mhm.
you're building that relationship. So now you can almost set up the experiences. As a kid,
Mhm.
like when we would take the bus, I remember the director would each give us our money. So we had to pay the
Mhm.
person on the bus, right? So back in the day
Right.
when you just walk on, but you need to learn how to do this because at some
Right.
point you might be riding the bus by yourself, right?
Life skills.
Everything, yeah, everything is an opportunity. So let's go. We're going to go have this conversation with this person. I know that a lot of the kids, a lot of first grade classrooms will take their kids to the library, right? So
Oh,
we're going to go
right.
learn where's the library? Here's the librarian. Did you meet him? What's their name? Like
Right.
you're walking them through those basic things, but as we get older, some of those other things too. Hey, let's talk about financial literacy. Are you saving any money? Do you just spend everything that you get? Did you earn any of it, or are you just milking your parents? We can run them through these things that are little
Hmm.
life lessons. And I think there's so many opportunities for this.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely.
before we get off onto a thousand tangents about all the cool things we could do, let's kind of come back to it. And I think we have 4 steps for anybody out there who wants to try to do this, right? We have 4
Hmm.
reminders that we want to give them. So
Right.
walk us through it, Becky.
First, just do your research. Who are your school families? And usually that's included in your applications where you're like, oh, occupation, you get their contact information just to get an idea of, oh, who, what do our parents do? And that's actually an important information because that is your target audience, whether you gear curriculum towards that so that your kids even know what their parents do. And we can reach out to them. And like you said, as your school could celebrate those businesses. Secondly, check your local businesses. Look beyond across the street, a block. And this is for the listeners. Can you name 5 businesses near your school? 30
Yeah.
seconds. Just think, what are the 5 businesses near your school?
What's your relationship to them, if at all?
Right. And when was the last time you visited them? Did you take a walk down there? And
Do they
sometimes
have
it's
your
too far.
postcards?
Do they have your postcards? Yes. Do you have a flyer? You have an event, Chipino. Did you send them a copy of your flyer to advertise? Super basic, right? Being visible, whether it's your principal, your teachers. And, and I always say that your students in school uniforms, best free advertisement. They're in the neighborhood, they take walks, just visibility, like how often do you just walk down the street, pay visit to the local stores, and not just restaurants, but just think of like laundromats, dry cleaners, corner markets. There's lots of places we can visit.
Yeah, and you can start off with the peculiar ones first if it all
Hmm.
seems overwhelming. For a neighborhood that's got
Right.
a billion things in there, just pick and just a couple here and there. Just start small.
Yeah, and if you're not close walking distance to any business, you can always give people a phone call. Don't just send an email because a lot of that gets disregarded, but just a simple phone call just to hear your voice. Say, hi, how are you doing? I'm from the awesome school, right?
Saying awesome.
Just introduce yourself, invite them to, you always say, hey, you have a big event, invite someone.
Yes, I mean, without going off another tangent,
Hmm.
that we always undersell the tables or whatever. Why not
Right,
have a table and invite, you have a table of 10, that's 5 couples from
right.
5 businesses
Local
that support you.
businesses.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt you. You already paid for it. But like the
Right.
goodwill that you can make out of that, I think
Hmm.
is super huge. So as much as as all the good you send out in the world, you're going to receive it back too. So,
Hmm.
all right.
Did I miss
So
any?
what's that?
Do you have any? Did I miss any?
No, I think that's all good. I think those are everything. If we talked about a lot of the episodes that we've done in the past,
Hmm.
but definitely check out the parent engagement, which is leads into this. We talked about it in fundraising, and
Right.
we even talked a little about alumni.
Mhm.
But if you really want to listen to somebody who is doing this, not just us talking about in theory, you should listen to the Taritha Rothstein episode where she talks about the family that she's built at the school, that they've built at the school. But her community outreach as part of that episode is pretty amazing. She is
Oh,
definitely one
right.
of the leaders in that.
Oh, yeah. I love visiting at school. It's
Yeah.
it's such a nice school. There's definitely a spirit, and you can see it started from the leadership, and you see in the kids.
Yeah. It's very intentional about their community
Hmm.
outreach. So I think that's a huge piece. If you need help, we're happy to help you with this. This is something we've done in the past for our own schools. We'd
Oh,
love to help you out
yes.
with your school with it. So reach out if you got questions, you just want to even talk about it. No, information is always free. So no harm, no foul in just talking about these things. So anyway, Becky, thank you for joining me today and for all of your knowledge and sharing your stories.
Oh, thank you. I love your stories.
It's always fun when we talk about the good things, right? That's the best
Right.
part about this podcast. We're talking about only good things. It
Oh,
just makes you
yes.
smile.
And hear about how our kids are doing so well and just hearing all the great things are happening in our schools.
Yeah, I can't wait to our next episode. Thanks for joining us on In Search of Catholic School Excellence. We hope you heard something inspiring or something you'd like to try at your own school. Please share this episode and leave a review to help others find us. To see how we can support your journey toward excellence, visit ilovemytechteam.com. Until next time, celebrate what's working and keep reaching for what's possible.